which is a podcast brought to you by eValueServe about how to leverage data and AI to improve business decisions. Today, we are joined by Dan Thunberg, who is the Vice President of Marketing Strategy at Watts Water. He has extensive experience in both domestic and international markets, and Dan brings a really unique perspective to product development and sustainability initiatives. His cross-functional expertise has helped businesses navigate both established markets and uncharted territory, particularly in implementing sustainable practices across Watts Water's 26 global brands. So Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So today, Dan's going to join us to explore how sustainability is reshaping product innovation and market strategy in the industrial space. So let's just dive right in. Dan, to get us started, you operate in a really interesting space where sustainability meets industrial markets, and you're several steps removed from end users, yet sustainability still impacts every touch point that you have. So what's fundamentally different about driving sustainability in B2B versus B2C markets?
That's an excellent question. B2B is vastly different just because you're not speaking to the end user directly. While sustainability is inherent in everything we do, we're a water company, so everything that goes through water, that's going to really drive sustainability in the end user. Our customers, wholesalers, contractors, engineers, plumbers directly, are not the ones who are benefiting from it directly or are really seeing it as the end user, a facility manager or a homeowner would. So we have to do more of an education play. You have to teach the teachers. So they might not be as interested in sustainability as the end user will be. You need to teach them as to why it's going to be so important to their customers and help them be stronger in their fields by having all this information. So you're not getting a direct one-on-one relationship with the end user and helping them achieve their goals. You're always using an intermediary of some sort. And really what we've found, it's education. People don't know enough about sustainability. They're willing to learn, but they're right now not in a place where they can talk intelligently about it. And we found with our reps, with our wholesalers and contractors as well, they're very open to hearing about it and understanding how they can help their customers be more sustainable, because they know and they hear that their customers care about it. And ultimately, they want to be that service provider for them. They want to be able to help them with their goals, and us educating them helps them be better at their jobs, quite honestly.
Yeah. And certainly it all trickles down. So everything in the value chain that any company works with has an impact on, the next level of sustainability as well. So by educating them, you can then pass that along to your consumers and say, these are the brands that we work with, and it is at the forefront of their strategy and their ethos when they are going to market. And it can make the consumer feel a lot better, and how to translate that, I think, can really help build the long-term loyalty that you can get with clients as well.
Absolutely.
So many companies struggle to translate sustainability data into market differentiation. And you've taken an interesting approach with Handprint. So can you walk me through how this reshapes the value proposition conversation?
Absolutely. And so we're a product company. Let me explain what Handprint is first, just because it's not really a common term yet. People are used to footprint, which is really what you leave behind when you manufacture or whatever you do, the way you're leaving the environment from where you started. Any waste that you develop, and any emissions, any disposal of product and such. That's your footprint. Handprint is really what you are able to reach out and give to others, and help other people be more sustainable. I like to use an example of composting. Okay, so let's just take something personal and say, if you compost yourself, yeah, you're doing great for the environment. You're managing your footprint. You're not wasting anything. You're not leaving anything behind. You're composting and reusing. That's fantastic. But you can only do so much with what you do in your house. Now, if you were to extend that in your neighborhood and start a composting center or a composting program that got other people in the neighborhood to compost, and now it's being utilized by a third party or what have you, you've expanded your reach. So you left a handprint on the environment and the outside world from yourself. So that's handprint. We look at Handprint from a product standpoint. So our products help our customers be more sustainable. So whether it's a relief valve that is going to not allow, or a pressure relief valve that's not going to allow pressure to build up and hurt, damage product inside of someone's home or facility, or it's a thermostatic mixing valve that's controlling the heating and not scalding someone. We're helping our customers be more sustainable from a safety, water conservation, and energy efficiency standpoint. And really it's about demonstrating how our products are going to help our customers reach their goals. And as I said in the last question, when you talk about education and people wanting to help others be more sustainable, people don't really know how they can be sustainable. I mean, quite honestly, as I said, people want to be more sustainable, either because their shareholders want them to be, or their constituents want them to be, or or they just personally want to be, but they don't really know how. They know how to do things on their own. They don't really know how to do things in a grand scale, and they want to be able to showcase what they do. So product sustainability, or Handprint, allows us to educate again our customers how our products will help them achieve their sustainability goals and how they can help their constituents be more sustainable through the use of the products.
Well, you're educating me on this because I hadn't heard of Handprint before. So I like that it sounds like it's a lot more of a proactive outreach, and there's this more community set element to it as well. I think your initial example when explaining it was quite good, but it's also when you think about sustainability, especially on a consumer level for yourself, sometimes you're like, yes, I know I need to recycle, but it just doesn't feel like you're always doing enough in that same space. But to your point, if you can take those same values and put it on a company perspective or reach out and show others, it's really that domino effect that can really make a huge difference.
Exactly. And we do care about footprint as well. We care about, how we manufacture, and we're a clean manufacturer, but everyone creates some sort of waste, and that's something that we're always trying to minimize and reduce. Handprint is really the way that we can help others and extend our reach.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And what we see in the market today is that it's flooded with a lot of sustainability claims, yet you've noted it rarely drives purchasing without regulatory pressure. So, how do you cut through what would be considered, I guess, quote unquote, green noise to create that genuine value that people want?
So there's a term out there called greenwashing, and we try to avoid that at all costs. We don't want to just talk about sustainability because it's a nice buzzword and can get people curious and excited. We want to be very factual, and I think it's important for people in this space today, especially in business to business or business to consumer, to be as factual as possible, because the worst thing you can do is, come across as just not anything that is really impacting the environment, or just talking to try to make yourself look better. So we do a lot of due diligence on sustainability from a product standpoint, through LCAs and EPDs. So this is really documenting and being transparent about everything you do in manufacturing, distributing, and sourcing products. So an LCA is a life cycle assessment. It's basically looking at your manufacturing of a product from cradle to grave. Everything from sourcing to manufacturing to distributing that product, to the actual use of that product, and then the disposal of that product at the end of the cycle. Whereas an EPD, that's an environmental product declaration. That is a kind of a truncated version of an LCA. It's more palatable. An LCA is like 80 pages long. No one's ever going to want to read it. An EPD is maybe 5 to 15 pages long, and it can help customers that are seeking green building status or are trying to showcase how what they do is sustainable. It gives them those facts, if you will, with key highlights that are all backed up by third-party verification. So it's not me telling our customers, oh, we're so great and sustainable and save this amount of water and have this much embedded carbon. No, it's actually, an ISO verified, third-party verified by ISO standards, for everything we do, just as you would with any kind of claim that you put on a package or anything else. These standards are transparency documents, but they're also verified. So it really comes to being as factual as possible and consistent, and not just going what's favorable today, what is what you can really do. I'm not going to talk about things that our company can't do. We can't control how people use water. We can't control what's done afterwards, but we can control the water as it goes through the building and as it's dispersed. And that's our expertise. And we can be very transparent in how we go about doing that.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of it is just being transparent with everybody as well. So when you have the opportunity to, have factual data and have accountability for what you're doing, and when you're being transparent about all of that, that can help quite a bit.
Exactly.
So if we move into a stage gate process, we both know that traditional metrics like margin and market share dominate a lot of these discussions. But how have you evolved this framework to properly value sustainability without sacrificing the commercial success?
Well, they're one and one, sustainability and commercial success. But StageGate is a process to bring ideas to market through oversight, resource allocation, and making sure everything is strategically sound and due diligence is done. We have a StageGate process here, as most companies do. And as sustainability is really ingrained in everything we do, it's ingrained in our StageGate process as well. So we have several different tasks within the stages of our process that talk to sustainability. We have a sustainability checklist. We try to make our engineers start to think about sustainability as they're designing the product, not after it's been designed and it's out in the market and then, can we have a metric of how much water it saves or how much energy it saves? No, I want them thinking about it as they're designing it, so that they make the right decisions. It could be the right decisions on what materials they use, or the right decisions on how they set up a product so that it can be quantified or measurable. So this is just as important as the financials that come through, or making sure we do all the quality checks that we need to do, or any of the different aspects of our stage gate process. And it's evaluated at every stage, and that, we're a company that cares about sustainability and cares about how we're going to be able to demonstrate it through our products. So it is constantly followed up on. And then at the end of our process, we have a secondary evaluation where they go back on what they said. And now, can you quantify it? Can you say what this product does from a sustainability standpoint? I know a product's going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to manage the water flow. It's going to manage pressure. It's going to manage temperature. It's going to do whatever that product was set up to do first. But can we quantify and qualify the sustainable aspects of that product?
Yeah.
And if you're doing that from the start, rather than doing it at the end, you're doing it more factually, because you're not just trying to think about what can you say about a product, as opposed to this is what we originally planned.
Yeah, you put the hypothesis in place and then you prove it out, or sometimes you find that maybe it's changed a little bit as the product developed, depending on, how it got rolled out, or, how it gets used. But no, I like that it's the proactiveness, and then it's the continuous measurement of it.
Yeah, and we need that, because quite honestly, our customers are asking for proof.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking, I don't know, if it's a hotel chain, they want to tell their customers how they're being more sustainable. If you stayed in a hotel in the last 10 years, they tell you they leave to hang up the towels so that you're not wasting more water as they're washing towels. They're trying to show their customers they're being sustainable, but they want something tangible that they can talk about. So if you can give them a calculator that is actually lets them understand how much water they're saving, or how much energy they're saving, or how they're preventing the waste of water, it becomes very tangible for them. It's something that they can put out on their websites, or on their financial reports, or their customer facing reports. It helps them in their businesses. So in order for us to do that, we have to design it into the product. We have to have something that can be measurable, or at least we need to have our engineers thinking about how can I make it measurable, so that in the future we can help our customers, measure their effectiveness.
Yeah. And certainly, I think from the consumer facing perspective, we've all been into the hotels and they have those little sustainability cards on the beds or in the bathroom. And it makes a big difference when they're able to say, if you don't ask for new towels every day, you can save X% more water. So it makes it more tangible. And I think more people are likely to make that choice by going in that route. And there's, of course, a lot of ways to do it besides just the towel example as well. But it's a great way to say this is what we've done and this is what you can do to help as well. So Dan, you've implemented lifecycle assessments across different product lines, and that's significant data infrastructure. So beyond compliance, how has the granular sustainability data reshaped your product strategy?
So there's a lot that has come from LCAs and EPDs in the last couple of years. We first did it just to be more transparent about our products and learn, because you're getting a ton of data, a ton of information you can learn and ultimately help with improving your manufacturer, being more efficient as your manufacturer. We've learned different aspects of how we're producing or what cells our productions are located in and ways that they can be more efficient, which also drives profit to the bottom line and it makes a more effective product. But we also find that they become a necessity in some areas. So here in the US, we're not at a point where EPDs are utilized for more than green buildings, right? So there are green buildings where they have um, LEED certified levels that they need to get to, and they need to have a certain amount of EPDs from companies to get there. Okay, that's one way they're utilized. In Europe right now, we're seeing that EPDs are a requirement just to do business. They're a lot further along on the regulatory side and on how they're requiring sustainable information or transparency. So we have customers that are literally at the start of the conversation asking for us to provide our EPDs for the products that we have. This will eventually get to the US, hasn't yet. So we're preparing for it. There are customers who are looking for it, but in Europe, it is a cost of doing business today. So we've invested heavily there in all of our manufacturing and making sure that we have LCAs for the products that are being produced, and then ultimately the EPDs. You can't have an EPD until you have the LCA first. So it's a bit of a timely process.
Mm-hmm.
It can take anywhere from 9 months to a year. But you ask what else can we do with them? And it truly is making better products. You learn from the EPD what the output of your product is. It might surprise an engineer to find out how much embedded carbon is actually in a product. And is that something our customers care about? If it is, well, I got to see how I can reduce that. Leads into how we go after sourcing. And so the great thing about LCA, it's like I said, it's cradle to grave. It's all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at how are your product your components sourced? Where are you getting your copper? Where are you getting your steel? Where are you getting and how are they getting their materials? So it keeps going. It's like an onion. Just keep peeling and peeling and peeling back to get to the core and learn everything you can about the product. And you might learn this is not the right vendor for us. They're not in tune with our goals. So we'll have to, make sure that we have a broad understanding of vendors and our suppliers
Yeah.
are doing from their sustainability practices.
Yeah. And it's super important to look at all of that because and to look at it regularly as well, because it can certainly change as their vendors and suppliers might change as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So in B2C, we oftentimes see consumers saying that they are willing to pay more for sustainability, but when push comes to shove, they oftentimes do not when they see the difference in price tag. So you're seeing similar dynamics in B2B. What's actually moving the needle in customer conversations to push them to a more sustainable model?
Yeah, so I come from consumer products originally, and you're right. Every focus group, every survey you do, everyone say they'll pay more for sustainability. It's a common theme. But then when you come out there and you put a product that's going to cost more and you can explain exactly how the sustainable practices are out there, they're not going to purchase it. I mean, some people will, but it's not going to move the needle in big regard. It's the same in B2B. People care about sustainability. They say they'll pay more for it. You go into, some voice of customer and focus groups trying to understand, will this benefit, get you to purchase? Sure. In a vacuum, if they're only looking at your product and you tell them everything about sustainability about the products, and you feel really good and they'll purchase. But it's not a vacuum. This is an open market. People have lots of choices and they're looking at price. Customers are looking at functionality first. Always. Especially in this industry, and then, when we're dealing with plumbing pieces, they're going to look at how does the product work, and does it work well? The quality and history of the product's performance, is it going to last for us? And then price. What's it going to cost us to do? And that's the main value equation. I look at sustainability as a supporting element to helping that sale go through. Whereas sustainability is not going to be the reason they buy unless it's for lead, development or something like that. It's going to be what makes us sticky. It's going to be the added factor that keeps our customers coming back because they know we'll help them on their sustainability journey. We'll help educate them. We'll help provide them information and be a resource for them on sustainability. But again, it's the product first. It's always about the product. Sustainability needs to be that supporting cast that is helping that product, get through the needle and help our customers, because it's B2B, sell to their customers. Because again, their customers are looking at price, they're looking at product. They don't know as much necessarily about the performance. They care about price a lot. So if you tell them everything about sustainability, it makes them feel a little bit better about their purchase. And maybe they'll come back to the brand, but it's not going to drive the actual purchase decision. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to really even the very first question that you were answering. It comes a lot back to education. And what we've been talking about a lot is what metrics are you tracking as well? So if it's more sustainable, does it help them save money? Even if it costs more, is it going to help them save more money in the long run? Are they going to pay less regulatory fees? Maybe. Is there going to be a law that's in place in 1 to 5 years? That means that they have to switch. So if they're going to switch, it's going to save them a lot more money to switch now than once again in a few years' time as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can shape the conversation around it in B2B.
You hit on something there. It's always more immediate. At least that's what I've seen. People look for immediate benefit. If you can save them money on energy utilization, I mean, you can save them water, but water's cheap, so it's not going to drive the bottom line. It's very important to conserve water, but it's not going to hit the pocketbook. When it comes to energy and energy efficiency, then you can start talking about how you're going to save money on energy. And then maybe, again, it will help push you over the finish line, but it's product first. But you're right, it's about giving that financial benefit that you can possibly give along with the product. And it's part of the value proposition as a whole. I do find the long play of something's coming 3 or 4 years down the line. Some customers will be very careful and wanting to make sure they set themselves up for the future. But most are in a help me now type of mentality and not what's coming in the future. If everyone was thinking to the future, we wouldn't do half the things that we do as an environment, in the world today. Unfortunately. So you got to help them figure out how they're going to get benefit from it immediately and help them set up for the future and have a more sustainable area. And quite honestly, I mean, we do sustainability here. It's important to everyone who works here. It's important to our customers, and it's important to our investors. And it's funny. I talk about this all the time. Investors don't necessarily care how sustainable you are. They're there for dollars and cents as well, but they want to look at companies that are going to be here in 20 years. If you're not looking at your ESG strategy now and how you're being sustainable, you're a dinosaur. You're just not going to be here in the future. And our customers know that, and it scares them. And they want to know how they can be more sustainable, how they can report on being more sustainable, and how we can help them do that.
Yeah. And that actually leads me into the next question very nicely, which is the ESG conversation is evolving beyond what is traditionally more environmental metrics. People oftentimes focus on the E part of ESG. So, when we look at sustainability from a broader perspective, how does this definition of sustainability impact product development when you're engineering for industrial applications?
Yeah, it's interesting because you say sustainability and then you say ESG, and ESG is an acronym for environmental, social, and governance, and all of these things play into how we're more sustainable in action. And we look at ourselves and what we do from a social standpoint, but I'm not going to get into that, or our government. From a product standpoint, it's really about the different aspects of sustainability. And people think about energy efficiency as like kind of being one of the strongest one, and that's certainly one. Water conservation is another one that gets people to understand, but people don't think about safety as sustainability. And safety is one of the biggest aspects of sustainability. Whether it's allowing a product to last for a long time, or a product actually doing what it's supposed to do. So we focus on the safety of water and keeping water safe for consumers. And the conversation is going beyond just the dollars and cents, but it's going on to something that'll be, it can be very important to some of our customers, and how they're keeping their constituents safe. How they're keeping from scalding people, or how they're keeping from, a boiler blowing up and creating a huge disaster. Safety is a huge aspect, and we call it. We work within the three pillars of safety, energy efficiency, and conservation. It also is driving to helping others be more sustainable. So whether it's forward in Handprint or back in Footprint, where we just had that conversation about suppliers. And it's not that we're just checking on our suppliers to see how sustainable they are. We're letting them know that they have to be sustainable to work with us. So it's helping them evolve and be more sustainable. It's helping others be more sustainable, where it used to be a very narrow focus to a company and what is a company doing, or an individual and what's an individual doing. It's broadening out to how is a company influencing a greater population, whether it be the environment that we work in and our neighbors, and any programs that we do near our factories, or it's helping our suppliers or helping our customers be more sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective to put on it, that there's different angles that you can come at sustainability with, like with safety as well. So again, it kind of comes to there's a lot of pieces all throughout the value chain product that you can really look at, and how you can influence other people. And by you doing something well and educating on how you're doing that, it can help inspire others to do it also.
Exactly.
So my last question for you, Dan, is looking ahead, sustainability requirements are becoming table stakes. So what is next? What are you thinking about in terms of innovation beyond the current sustainability playbook?
So I talked about it earlier in stage gate discussion, and how we're trying to think about sustainability and product design. That's a start. Where we really want to get to is what's called design for sustainability. And that's where you're taking the sustainable idea first and taking it into the design of a product. So designing products to help with sustainability in beyond the products doing what the customers are today asking for, but how are we helping customers tomorrow find more ways to better their use of water, in our case, water. So it's really moving into a design for sustainability versus a more reactive, how will our products help you? No, we're going to design a product specifically to help you. But beyond that, we're not even close to hitting the regulatory area that could come in the future. EPDs take a long time to develop. We're focused on our global footprint and handprint, and really trying to make sure that everywhere we manufacture, we're doing the same thing and being consistent and listening. And I mean, it's not that we're such experts that we're going to be able to tell everyone what's going to happen in the future. We need to be very, very cognizant of how the world's changing and listen to our customers, because quite honestly, they know what they need. They know their pain points. They know what their customers are asking for. So it's really keeping that conversation going and educating on both sides.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I think that was a great answer. And I think it also wrapped everything back up that it really comes down to education as well. So education, a bit of inspiration also. But Dan, thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast. Really appreciate everything that you have to share.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you giving me the time.
Yeah, great. Thanks for listening to this episode of Decisions Now. Check out all episodes at evalueserve.com/podcast, and don't forget to subscribe for future episodes.